There's nothing like a hot spring to help thaw out the end of winter.
Where are your clothes? Where are my clothes? Where did all this water come from?
It's episode 6. That means it's our obligatory fan service episode. It's why our studio is now a hot spring.
Since when did we have that kind of a budget? Well, wait, where's Coco?
Such a smooth skin.
I feel very exposed all of a sudden.
Ditto.
Is she getting closer?
Launch it, quick!
Ava launch!
Tetsuo! Kaneda!
お兄ちゃん
It's over 9,000!
NANI?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Konnichiwa and welcome to a new episode of Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast where we look into the world of anime and manga and all things in between. I'm your host Kyle, and joining me are my co-hosts Coco and Kenny. Hey guys!
What up?
G'day.
What up, G? Well, there's a lot ahead in this show because it is a review episode!
Yay!
It is the end of an anime season. It means we've got tons and tons of anime we can tell you all about because we've binge-watched everything.
Yes,
Pretty
it's
much.
been a trial.
But on that note, we've had to do a bit of a catch-up scramble to get up to date on some of these, and one of them I want to talk about is Price of Smiles, because we watched the first episode and we're like, oh, this is interesting, and it was by
It was a
studio.
hard all right.
Yeah, that first episode, but the little tidbit at the end really sells it, and we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's by a studio who was celebrating their 20th anniversary with this, so it's an all-original story, and you know, you watch the first episode, and if you don't watch to the end, much like a Marvel film, you miss out on something important.
Indeed.
And that important thing was serious plot development. And I've got to be honest, I was really impressed.
I think the first episode was basically there to set up a sort of an expectation and then to utterly crush it in the prevailing episodes.
Kind of similar to School Life Club, except obviously only over the one episode. What I liked after we kept on watching this anime was how well they had created this. So the first 90% of that first episode was our experience as Yuki.
Yeah, just being, you know,
Enjoying
protected
everything.
from the world and just
You're
living in a
safe.
paradise.
Everything's
Yeah.
protected. Everything's great.
And then
you know?
everything changed when the Mecha Anime Nation attacked.
Pretty much. On the note of mechas, Revisions.
Yes.
That's another one. That was a Netflix anime, and I thought, oh, it looks pretty cool, teleporting all of a city into the future, whatever might be going on. There's mechs, and then I met the main character.
I want to smash his head like a coconut.
Kokonatsu
He's-
smash.
He's not. You just
Messiah complex. Serious Messiah complex.
He
bit
is the
narcissistic.
anti-Shinji.
He is.
Yeah.
The thing is the characters all are very different. They're very unique. They all have their own personalities, and that's making me want to keep watching it. Even though the main character's driving me absolutely up the wall because I just want someone to slap him and say, calm down, grow up.
Well, it's kind of like that's happened a few times, but he's not listening.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to get the point.
I like to think that as he sees other people around him grow and learn, he'll get the point as well. I really want to.
hope, but he's surrounded by people who are pretty straight-laced, and he's a bit, well, off with the mecha gods, essentially.
Yes, just a little bit. What I wanted to quickly mention is that up until about a week and a half ago, I'd never seen Howl's Moving Castle.
What?
Oh my.
Yeah. I watched it in secret
I'm-
from you guys.
We have it on the shelf. We've had it on the shelf for 7 years.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
but-
not having seen that film is like against the rules.
I know. Shout out to my friend Ali who put it on for me, and we sat and watched it, and it, oh my gosh.
It's a wonderful film.
It's so beautiful. Everything is lovely. Well, you know, not everything is lovely. There's war, of course.
There is a very fantastical element to it.
We have been talking about maybe having a Ghibli episode some other time. Yes, it's just there is so many good reasons to do that.
There's
as you now
so
know,
many to
close
talk
record.
about. I mean, like, even outside of that, you're going back further. Porco Rosso.
My favourite.
Princess Mononoke, which I haven't seen. Yes, I know.
Actually,
Oh,
neither have I.
what?
You know what this means? We need a new segment.
Oh my.
And I think we're going to have to call it Never Seen.
Yes, it's. Am I supposed to confess something now?
You don't have to
Yes,
if you
your
don't want
turn.
to.
Pressure, peer pressure.
I
Okay,
haven't
so
seen it.
Coco says yes. I say I don't care.
I haven't seen Akira.
Wait, what?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
what
a pretty phenomenal one to
What
miss.
I would suggest is to read the books first.
I actually
because
have
the
read
books-
the first one. I read it in a bookshop ages ago, and
Well, they are also on the shelf.
yes.
So please avail yourself of them. Read them all. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Right, well, this episode, we're going to be dipping our toes into the nice warm onsen waters to look at the phenomenon we've seen in a wide range of animes. This is the hot spring and beach episode. Now, for some reason, episode 6 and 7 seem to be the most common location for these events to appear.
The midpoint.
The midpoint of an anime series, and this is particularly... this fits into what we were talking about previously in the 3-episode royal about the introduction of 12-episode anime. So we're going to have a look at that and just have a bit of a laugh at the strangeness that has occurred from here. We're also doing our first season in review, looking back at the past 3 months worth of anime and what we've managed to watch. There is music involved. It's going to be great. We've got some fantastic covers from amazing artists on YouTube who've been very, very lovely and offered to let us play their music, and the good and the bad will get their turns. But first, it's news time.
Making headlines.
Really? Sort of. Anime news.
Manga Taisho Award winners announced and the prices rising at Crunchyroll. This is Kawaii-Fi Anime News. Neon Genesis Evangelion's official Twitter has revealed the dialogue recording for the 4th Rebuild film is underway, completing the reimagined story of Evangelion, which began in 2007. The final Shin Evangelion film was officially announced back in 2012, but delays in other projects by director Anno pushed the film onto the back burner. Anno has previously said finishing the 3rd film in the franchise left him feeling drained and burnt out, but an offer to reboot the Godzilla franchise in 2016 appears to have reinvigorated his work. The film is slated to open in Japan in 2020. Netflix has also announced the original Evangelion anime will land on its streaming service on June 21st. The original series and films have been out of print in North America since ADV Films closed their doors in 2009. The Death and Rebirth and End of Evangelion films will also be coming to the service, though questions around whether the director's cuts of the final episodes will be available is yet to be confirmed. Crunchyroll has announced its first price rise to its premium membership since launching the service, with the new prices affecting users in the US, UK, Australia and Nordic regions. The US and Australian prices will raise by $1.04 to $7.99 a month, and in the UK the monthly membership rises by about £1.50 to £6.50. The change comes into effect for new users on May 1st, with existing users not seeing the price change until August. A second My Hero Academia film has been announced this week, with manga creator Kohei Korikoshi supervising the new film. The announcement was made at last week's Anime Japan event and is slated for release in Japan's winter, likely around the time of the Series 4 season finale. The previous film, My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, earned more than 1.64 billion yen at the Japanese box office. That equates to roughly 15 million US, with the North American release taking in just shy of 6 million. Astra Lost in Space has taken home the 12th Manga Taisho Award, with the series squarely beating its competitors for the illustrious award. The Manga Taisho Awards are nominated by bookstore staffers in charge of manga sections and only accepts works published in the last year with less than 8 volumes. The manga ended serialization in December 2017, with its final volumes released last year. An anime adaptation is due to air in July this year. Popular isekai anime, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, has revealed a second season has been greenlit for 2020, with the series ending its 25-episode run this week. The announcement was made on the series' Twitter account, with Studio 8-Bit and the original cast returning for the production. The series is also receiving a new manga spin-off called The Trinity of the Magic Kingdom, focusing on a beast girl visiting Tempest on a secret mission. The new manga is being serialized in monthly Shonen Sirius magazine, with 2 chapters published a month. And a wave of anime sequels have been announced the past week, part in thanks to the Anime Japan 2019 showcase events. Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon announced its second season will air in July, with new cast members and visuals released online. High Score Girl 2 has been slated for an October premiere following its 12-episode series that ran last July. A second season of Deadly Checkpoint anime ReZero has been revealed on the series website, with an OVA special due out on October 6th, and a third season of romantic mess anime My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu was announced in monthly Sunday GX, with the series adapting more of the light novel. And Inner Body Workforce anime Cells at Work is also receiving a new season, though staff have said details will be released at a later date. There's also a number of new series announced based on popular manga. Magical Index spin-off manga, A Certain Scientific Accelerator will be getting an anime adaptation in July. Sci-fi boxing anime Livius is getting a 3D CG series adaptation through Netflix. And Bonkers' light novel series Do You Love Your Mum and her 2-hit multi-target attack will premiere in July this year, with the isekai-style show following a mother-son team in another world. And that's your anime news for the week ending March 31st, 2019.
Okay, so
You have many questions, don't you?
mostly just repeat that last title.
Yeah.
Do you love your mum and her 2-hit multi-target attack?
I mean,
What would your mum be like if you guys were just planted into a different world?
screaming.
Yeah, I can't argue on
Mine
that.
would be incredibly angry.
Yeah, I can
Like
see that.
rage angry.
You see, the thing is there is so much that has happened in the past 2 weeks because of the Anime Japan Expo. And it was 2 days open to the public, 2 days open only to the industry. It's a lot of stuff was announced. And things we couldn't fit in. There's a Goblin Slayer OVA coming. Made in Abyss has a second film. San Euphonium has a film.
Hey!
There's 2 new original films, Human Lost and For Whom the Alchemist Exists, which both sound fantastic. And there is a slew of new anime series coming out the next year. And they all just got hit, bang, 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 one after another.
I love big festivals like this when all these different things are announced, whether it's a game festival or an anime festival, anything cultural like that, where you just get, this is everything that's coming to you.
Yeah. And I mean, in particular, though, My Hero Academia film too.
Yay!
Ooh, we
That's
don't know
awesome.
anything yet. But I'm excited. So that was announced at their panel event during the show. So.
I want to see more of Aoyama. I want to know if he's not going to be able to stop twinkling from anywhere else other than his belly button at some point.
I wonder if you'll actually be able to shoot it out of his hands. Then we can call them Twinkle Fingers.
Yes, or his toes, twinkle toes.
Oh. And as you know, this one's very close to my heart. Neon Genesis, 4th film. About time.
Oh, that's going to be
you
good.
are happy.
I hope.
Yeah. Well, before I even met you, Coco, that they started these, and that's a while ago. So
Now, I remember the last few just seemed to get more dark.
they did.
They did, which, I mean, isn't bad in itself, but I just felt like it was for, like, Asuka was being belligerent just for the sake of being belligerent.
You can understand why Anno was quite exhausted after that 3rd film because it was very heavy. While it was a complete change of story altogether from the original series, it was just exhausting and so emotionally charged.
Yeah, it was.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Anime history. Are we still in the hot spring?
Yes, yes.
Just checking.
You know what?
I've put clothes on now, though. So, Coco, you can stop trying to drill a hole in the wall. It's all fine.
Well, you didn't see anything.
No, we didn't see
I don't
anything
know what
at
you're
all.
looking at. That's a window.
That's a window.
And I'm not at it.
So, Hot Springs beach episodes, they appear in so many animes. It's connected to the culture of Japan. It's often related to a series which has something to do with schools or isekais or young,
Young
sort
adult.
of, young adult
themed
focused things.
shows, yeah.
Youth. You must experience all of your youth. Go to the beach.
Yes.
But we did, and this is something me and Kenny have been saying for quite a while, that the midpoint of many animes seems to be where these episodes lurk. So if there hasn't been any form of fan service or anything before, and there's no ongoing storyline, it tends to pop up around this point.
I had a certain theory about it when I first started looking into it, that this generally happened for animes that were released around the summertime. Like that it was a celebration of the basically the time of year that they were released.
Maybe insidious marketing on the part of Tourism Japan.
That is exactly what I was thinking. I mean, the beach is like this massive kind of cultural, it's a massive cultural thing. It's like you're on holiday, you go to the beach. This is like a big deal.
Well, I mean, it's either the beach or you go up into the mountains, and if you're in the mountains, there must be hot springs. Because
Exactly.
reasons.
And that too, very, very culturally huge over there. And no wonder. It's like anyone who has seen this on a travel show or on an anime knows just how pleasant it looks.
But we went through a load of anime and we compiled a short list, and I say short because there are many more than this, of episode 6 and 7s where this happens, where there is a fan servicey hot springs or beach episode.
Yes.
Some groups obviously are very aware of this trend and decide to take the utter mickey out of it by purposely having the rest of the series quite fan servicey and then having nothing
Or
in
even
episode 6.
even putting it in the title of the episode.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes it can just come out of nowhere as well. You've got Outlaw Star. It goes the entire series. This is a sci-fi heavy anime. And, you know, they're getting up to the climax, the big moment, the crux of the show. And then suddenly, let's go and just relax somewhere.
On a beach planet.
Yeah,
why not?
let's just chill out.
If you can, why wouldn't you?
Right
you know?
out of nowhere.
But I mean, when did this whole fan service thing start? Because we're obviously quite familiar with it in modern times because of the culture around it, but it started quite a while ago, didn't it?
Well, Japanese erotica, as we all know, has been around for a very long time. You just need to look up ukiyo-e. I'm not going to tell you what specifically to look for because there's plenty out there, and a lot of it is NSFW. But a lot of it is quite softer, which is fine. I mean, it's all fine, really. But it started back in the 60s.
Oh, wow, that far back.
Some believe that Tezuka's film, 1001 Nights, as well as his follow-up film, Cleopatra, were the first animated erotic films which had fan servicey bits. I watched a bit of Cleopatra. It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like really experimental.
I mean, you did have
I
a
feel
lot of
like
experimental anime.
Tezuka was trying to get a lot of his chest with those ones.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, all of them seem to have the anti-war message throughout them. But yeah, in the 60s... these turned up because in the 60s there was an explosion of so-called pink films.
Okay.
Yeah, which were very popular. They were Japanese erotica. And they used to show them at a triple screening featurette in the cinemas. The Film Ethics Board have long banned showing naughty bits, which has actually given Japanese erotica its own particular style as opposed to the Western style of, well...
You see what you get.
Anyway, so, some people believe fan service started with Tezuka and kind of turned into what it is now. With regards to the midpoint, though...
We quite seem to be returning to Tezuka a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
It's like we consider that he had such a huge effect on anime, such a huge influence, but he really had like a much bigger one than we thought, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't Astro Boy have like one of the first series fan service episodes, like a beach episode?
Yes, it's the first ever beach episode was in Tezuka's original Astro Boy.
That's bonkers.
It's amazing, hey?
But, was it at the halfway point?
No, this was like near the end of the first season.
Okay. See, the theory we have going at the moment is that they appear at the midway point as almost a thank you.
Yeah.
In a very odd way to say, thanks for keeping watching us. You've gotten past your 3 episode spot where we've done some weird experimental stuff.
It was brought, like, the very existence of this in animation was brought in to be a sort of a competitor to these pink films. So since then, just putting it in one spot or maybe putting it in not really subtly, but different places.
Like a brick through a windshield.
But I do kind of feel like it's a bit like the director is making his puppets dance. It's just kind of like, I don't know.
I'm going to dress you up and make you go to the beach. And
Did you ask them if this was okay?
I mean, sometimes these beach episodes are good. They're sort of a breather from within the anime. There's all this stuff going on. Here's just a quick break. But I see it as another thing which is just a thing about animation that bugs me. This is a chance for you to see the characters in your favorite show wear legitimately anything else other than what they normally wear. I mean, take Pokemon. That hat is stuck to Ash's head permanently. that is never coming on. Brock's jacket. That is not a jacket. That is a crust.
And you know what is really funny? Ranma Half.
Yeah.
It's the origin story is a hot spring.
It is.
And
Now,
you know what happens when he
have-
falls in and crawls back out.
Yeah, now I've read all of the Ranma manga, and I've watched a fair chunk of the series
It's
over
one
the
of
years.
the best.
It was one of the early series I found that wasn't, it was a back catalogue-y sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was interesting that it's totally okay for Ranma, who's male, who turns into a girl, to be topless,
Yeah.
but none of the other
So
characters.
it's okay because he's a guy.
He's a
Because
guy.
He's a guy,
Which-
but not a guy.
Yeah,
and-
which is
And-
what just makes so much of the comedy work.
It does. It does.
It's
And
so
it's
funny.
written by a woman as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like all of this fan service stuff. A lot of it is directed at the male fans, of course, because
Mm-hmm.
it's female flesh and all that. Except for in recent years where there has been like rather a large build-up of female-directed fan service, including just entire animes that are
you
directed. in that.
did you guys watch that? Was it the OVA from High School of the Dead? That was uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I
the
couldn't-
High School of the Dead was pretty over the top to begin with. I loved the story, but it was so hard considering what the director had done before, i.e. adult content,
Yes.
so that it was bordering on being that.
I mean,
Oh.
considering his origins,
I mean, it's not surprising.
it,
My God.
it was
But-
expected.
It was excessive.
I cringed so hard. It was just like, I like this series. I want to get... it felt like I was clawing my way up from a hole or something.
I mean, and this is another example. Episode 6 in it wasn't a hot spring or a beach episode. It was a bathhouse episode. So
Yeah.
But then
it's the
they went
same
to
sort of thing.
You mean on High School of the Dead?
Yeah.
They went to the jungle and the beach in this OVA. from
Yeah,
what
in
I
the
remember.
OVA, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd say that shows like High School of the Dead were just like they don't so much have fan service episodes as they are fan service series.
Yeah,
Mm.
and to anyone under the age of 18 or around thereabouts,
Don't
who,
touch it.
I mean, it's a great story, but make sure you're a bit older before you try and jump into it.
It's
because
a bit full on.
It is.
Or
very
if
full
you
on.
if you do intend to watch it, make sure you watch it with mummy and daddy.
And this is not only full on for your age; it's full on
for
for,
even our age.
any age. To be honest, it's just
But there's we did compile quite a list, Kenny, and I think you've got it in front of you at the moment. So give us a few
yes.
examples off this list.
We went through our library, our database. We had Aho Girl, we had Anime Guitarist. But I figure with those ones,
They
Anime-
are very self-conscious of themselves.
Anime Guitarist is a commentary on anime and the manga industry.
Well, it
and the
literally
fandom
translates
itself.
as anime story.
Of course, yeah, it's the story of anime almost. Mm-hmm. And so
Aho Girl is just a pure comedy of
I
errors.
love
So
that. It's so silly.
I feel like it's self-aware enough, though. It knows what it's doing as far as... It almost feels like it knows it's an anime. It's very Deadpool.
Harui Suzumiya also on episode 6, I believe, had their beach or swimming pool
Mm-hmm.
episode.
Indeed. And then for all of Season 2,
For 8 episodes, for Endless 8.
for the 8 episodes of Episode 1, yes.
Yes. Yeah, and I think there was
Gurren Lagann.
yeah. Episode
Yeah.
6. Now that kind of breaks the midway point rule and sticks to the episode 6 rule because that's a 25 episode anime. And then there was Konosuba.
Yes.
Now, season
Wonderful
1,
Konosuba.
nothing happens. Season 2,
They
Oh,
talk about it
they
happening.
it gets to episode 6 and they've mentioned this Hot Springs town.
Yeah, they build up to it and then
Then
they
leave.
don't go.
And then they leave and they take like 3 episodes to get there. And when they finally do get there...
They don't get in immediately.
Well, no, not
they?
even that.
It's
The
like it's
only person
constantly-
that gets in it is Kazuma.
It's like
Yeah,
it's
that's
constantly
right.
teasing the audience. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's consistent.
I love the fact that they're so aware of what their
I
base
know.
is for it.
Why can't we have a third season?
Well, because there's going to be a film, and then hopefully after the film there'll be a 3rd season.
Oh, please let it happen soon. I can hardly wait. I love that.
That
show.
trailer, there is more madness coming, and I love
there
it.
is. Well, I mean, they are going to be visiting Megumin's
Megumin's,
hometown, and
yes.
if anyone has read the prequel manga to this about where Megumin got her start, you'll be very, very pleased with the visuals you see because it is pretty much on point with all the drawings in that
I
manga,
bet it will go off with a bang.
or an explosion. But yeah, I mean, so there is no hard and fast rule, unfortunately, for the Hot Springs and Beach episodes, other than them not necessarily being an anime that has a strong focus on thriller, mystery, or I guess you could say any form of violence.
I mean, I know of one exception to that. There was an anime I was quite fond of called Another, where they do, in fact, have a beach episode.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see how they inserted it, but they did it and it worked. somehow.
It
In a
worked.
way.
It was as uncomfortable as it could have been.
Well, I mean, it's a bit strange from going from people tumbling downstairs and dying on certain objects that you'd use in the rain, and then beach.
Smooth.
Yeah. I have no idea what you meant.
No idea at all. But unfortunately, as I said, there's no hard and fast rule. But there does seem to be that tendency towards the lighter, less strong, heavy story-driven series to have them. So if it's a harem anime, if it's a school life anime, especially if it's anything to do with school, actually, because hey, we went on a summer trip.
I mean, it's sort of directed at an audience which is themselves going to school and stuff. So I think for them, it's a sort of a empathetic catharsis.
And you would go on holidays during school break to, tropical locations, or if it's cold, you'd go to an onsen.
Well, you'd
And
try.
on the
Makes
note of
sense.
cold, it is the end of the winter anime season.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Why do we watch that?
Definitely in my top 5.
Season in review.
Yes, we are very sorry.
That was the best summer anime I have seen this
yes.
season.
Grand Blue.
It wasn't this season. It was last season, wasn't it?
It was a few seasons ago.
I'm behind.
You are behind.
It's just that it lives on so strongly in my memory.
It does.
Because it's an anime mostly about constantly naked muscular men.
It was
Which
so
is
funny.
very strange.
I mean,
it is glorious.
I feel like having watched that, I am richer for it and inoculated against any kind of madness that can come my way now.
Yeah, that's
well,
fair.
Most kinds.
Well, on that note, season in review time. And of course, this means we do have to talk about everything that's come out over the past 3 months. And we're going to start off with the not so good stuff. We're going to talk about the dropped, the forgotten, and the revisited. Oh dear, guys.
Not
Is
one
that
day for
okay?
us.
I can do it again.
No. So let's talk about anime we dropped. And there's only 2 really strong standout ones.
It was a very hard drop on the first one.
Yeah, but let's start with number 2, which was Dimension High School, which was that weird CG one, which I think we purely watched the first episode
Yeah.
to see what it was about and then
Yeah.
knew exactly what it was.
I wish I could tell you why it was dropped, but I hardly remember anything about it, so that must be why.
I feel like we dropped it because cultural differences.
Perhaps.
It is almost like a quiz show. It's directed at the audience as well to say, can you solve this faster than they can?
It did feel like because I remember during our anime season preview, we said it was Japan's trying to teach us a thing again, aren't they?
Yeah, but it goes into things that we don't normally discuss or look at as far as culture in the West. And so I feel like it was mostly directed to a local audience.
Yeah, that would make sense. And the other one is Magical Girl Special Ops Oscar. Now, we mentioned this a few episodes back, and we mentioned how mature the audience target really was. It kind of felt like...
It went too far, didn't it?
I mean, obviously there are going to be people who have enjoyed it, but for me, it felt like they used the whole dark magical girl setting to justify doing things a lot further than they should have that were just purely untasteful.
Yeah.
And
Things like torture, violence, and so on. It just felt like the magical girl element was there just to kind of make it seem like it was
Facilitate
okay.
this,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, fantastic idea for a concept. I mean, think about Sailor Moon. It's like she fights evil by moonlight. She kills all those
But
demons.
She doesn't. She runs away.
Fair enough. But
She's never there for her friends, and she's never there to defend.
But you have to wonder how that works in the real world. Okay, she kills all the bad guys, all the demons are gone, and then the government would start asking some pretty pointed questions.
And she would likely have, some serious mental fatigue, potentially PTSD from dealing with that.
These are ideas that could be explored, and I feel like Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka goes into it somewhat.
It feels like
touches on
they
it.
used it as a way to kind of
Get away
identify
with-
the character.
Okay.
And then they just, as you said, used it to then get away with everything else going, this is what she's already seen, so she's not bothered by
facilitate
it.
and just say, hey, look how awful it actually is. It's like, we don't actually have to see that. You
Yeah.
don't have to focus in on those angles that you're focusing in on. We do understand by just
it
general
also-
observation that it,
It's like, yes, we get it. You're trying to be unpleasant. War is unpleasant, but
yeah.
Yeah,
chill.
but let's be honest. There's another anime from this season which did a better job of that. But there was also that point where it seemed like it wasn't too sure if it was going for the fan service side or the gratuitous violence side, and it just felt like we were literally being introduced to someone's fetish.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable.
So no offense to those that did enjoy it. It wasn't our cup of tea. If you do have a reason why it deserves a rewatch, please put it in the comments on our Facebook page,
would
and
love
we'd
to
love to
hear.
hear your point of view.
Because I love to, we love to see things from other people's perspectives because, you can only watch it from your own. If there's anything we've
It's
missed.
not like we can't be convinced.
Now, let's talk about the ones we forgot. Because we watched these and then we're like, oh, that looks great. And then forgot to revisit them. And starting from the top is Entro.
Yeah, it's adorable and just innocuous. And I
Yeah.
feel like it, clears up everything it needs to say in the first few episodes. So
Well, when you kind of have the, major bad guy decide they're going to quit being a bad guy because it's too much effort, then that is a bit of a... It feels like a bit of a dead end. And you're like, well, what can really happen from here?
it's a hilarious subversion of the entire fantasy genre. But, I mean... I think I will go back and watch it some other time to see where exactly they can take it. It looked like they were building up to something serious later on, but I don't know.
At this point,
very subdued.
I'd be very happy to give it 5 pastel colours out of 10 because that colour scheme is glorious.
Yeah, it is. I couldn't get into it.
No.
And,
I will try, but...
Actually, my favorite episode of theirs was their beach episode.
Yeah?
Just for how the final bad guy is dealt with.
Oh,
Right.
yeah,
All right.
yes. There's also Megio Tokyo Renka. Now, that was the one which is the girl who goes back in time and meets... It's Oron High School Host Club in, like, the 1500s.
With
Pretty much.
old school personalities from around that era.
Yeah.
Fascinating idea. I simply didn't go back to it. I actually don't know why.
I actually don't want to drop this. I want to see where it goes. It's ridiculously cliched and written like a bit like a fanfic insert, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's I want to see because it's also it's she's gone back in time.
I think this charms the young teenage girl in all of us.
Oh yeah. Full disclosure.
Mine's missing.
Full disclosure. When I was in high school, I wrote a similar sort of story.
Oh my.
Actually, I put myself in the place of this character that went back in time, and it was kind of similar. So I'm a bit embarrassed, but I want to see where this goes because it's just it's fun, it's lighthearted.
So if you have to give it a presumptuous rating on how you think it would stack up if it goes the way you're hoping?
7 charming nobles out of 10.
Oh.
Yes.
And then there is the other.
Yes, Boogie Pop and others. I took a watch at that, and it's unusual.
I watched the first 3 episodes.
I haven't watched any.
I watched a little bit further. I watched 6 or 7 episodes in. It's going in an interesting direction, but it takes its time. And I don't know.
Do you think you'd keep going, or do you think you're just kind of a bit over it at this point?
I might give it a try. It looks like it has something to offer, but I just can't really quite figure it out.
You see, one of the interesting things I found about it online was that a few people were saying, and I mean, it did that very odd thing where it bumped out like 4 episodes in a single day at some point. But a lot of people were saying that it's actually part of a sort of franchisee setup for Boogie Pop. So there have been other Boogie Pop series.
Yeah, even in the anime, it heavily implies that a lot of this kind of thing has happened before. And I think it is actually directly referencing its predecessors.
But because of that, I feel a bit disconnected from it because I'm like, well...
Uninitiated, almost.
Yeah, like I feel like I've missed out on a part of anime history that I need to go back and watch before I watch this because they've, as you said, referenced those other shows.
We might have to revisit this after a bit more research, I figure. I want to give it, call it 7.
7 mystical aliens?
Yeah, there's something there, but I'm going to need to sit down and really think about it.
No, cool.
Yeah. We've jumped into Manaria Friends.
Now, you're not keen on it, are you?
No. Someone said of it, I can't remember where I read this. Someone said it's a new take at intimacy.
Yeah.
I want to believe that that's what all the suggestive poses and sounds are about, but I just cannot buy it.
It's a bit fan servicey,
It
isn't it?
is
Yeah.
just there for fan service. I mean, convince me otherwise, I'm open to it.
I
but
can't. I mean, the
just no
opening of
story.
every episode has some form of sound or behavior which is suggestive, and then they subvert that. And while that is hilarious the first 2 or 3 times, it begins to get a bit grating.
It's like, you've heard the joke, this is it. But I like the world that it creates, and the characters, they're not very complex, but they are cute, basically.
Yeah. I mean, this is set in the same world as
Rage of Bahamut?
Rage of Bahamut.
which was amazing.
Yes.
I
yes.
loved that. I didn't think I would, because
Well,
I found that I'm not sure I'm not used to having the main character drawn in that way.
That was
very
also
different.
which really put me off. I think me and Kenny tried to sit down, I think about 3 or 4 times to watch it.
And
And,
then-
Kenny loved it, and I was just a bit like,
Yeah.
I can't really get into
And
this
then
design.
we had a go, and we
Yeah.
sort of slowly grew to get used to it, didn't we?
Yeah, well, I think in my case it was I've seen that first episode so many times
Yeah.
now that it was like, well,
Yeah,
this just
yeah.
seems normal now.
I would just think back to how I would just get used to all these different styles of animation
Yeah.
if I gave them a go. Some I didn't.
Well,
But-
I mean, for us, it's like the difference between watching the Flintstones and then Widget and then
Widget
you know,
was great.
Captain Planet. They all had that different animation
And
style
Angela
and different
Anaconda.
background. Yeah, or Ren and Stimpy. Like
No, I could
you
never
went
get
from
into that.
very
we're showing our age
appealing
there.
size
Yeah.
style to very odd styles.
Yeah.
But on that note, Hinomaru Sumo. Now,
Yes!
this is definitely a revisit. We just haven't had the time to catch up on
Yeah.
it because we missed the start
This
of it.
was never going to be abandoned as far as I'm
Mm.
concerned. It's an anime about sumo.
It is. It is.
We've been touching on a bunch of different sort of sports-based animes lately,
Mm-hmm.
and this one, it feels like your school slice of life with the whole competitive sports thing, but there's almost a Naruto-esque shonenness to it.
Yeah.
And-
that fighting spirit.
Well,
Yes,
it is.
there is.
It is targeted at the shonen demographic, and it has hundreds of chapters. And I am, as I think I've mentioned before, hit that like a truck.
Like a freight train.
Yeah, and then there was revisions, which, as I mentioned in the intro, I almost dropped for how annoying that main character is. Now I'm willing to give it a
Yep.
shot. I am willing to see this through.
You know what makes what really got me? I really loved the animation of, is it Milo or Milo?
Oh,
Yeah.
the main
The-
female girl from
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is, and especially the eye design.
Yeah.
It shows like. We see this in a lot of Japanese anime because Japan have that strong focus on eyes showing emotion, which is why we see big anime eyes and why
Yeah.
that occurred. But this has been used in such a way that you can see almost just by looking at the way her eyes are looking, the stress and the danger she has lived through already. You don't see it softening. She has that warrior look to her, and yet you've seen another version of her from a different timeline, we presume, who has much softer eyes, which I can only assume is her in the future who's gone back in time.
Yeah.
Future from the future.
I love
That
time
is the prevailing
paradoxes.
theory so far.
Yeah. And she's a lot more softened, and it shows that the character has developed
Yeah.
and changed.
I love time paradoxes. I just find them so interesting. And
I
the fact
try
that
not to
there's
think about them.
yeah, you just sort of take it as it is. There's
I mean, in this case, I just would like our equivalent of Shinji to stay out of the robot.
well, it's not. I don't think he's the equivalent of Shinji.
He's the polar opposite,
He
but he's in
is.
the
Like-
same role.
It's like a bunch of people would criticize Shinji saying, man up a little, harden up a little. And then you see this and you're just like, okay, Shinji it down a little.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
I'll always defend Shinji.
Well, I mean, the thing is that we often forget Shinji in Neon Genesis is 13
14
years
years old.
Yeah, if you take that
Yeah.
into account, his behavior's,
Very
not
normal.
Not unreasonable.
If I was shoved in, all right, so if I was shown a robot at 13 and said, you get to pilot, I'd be a bit daunted, but I'd just be like, oh yeah, that looks like fun. And then they would
However-
start filling up with that fluid and I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
nope.
However, we imagine you're a child at that age who has been abandoned by
Yeah.
the father
Yeah.
and then told this is the only thing you're good for.
Gendo,
I'd
Father
just
of the
be
Year.
like, you know what?
Yeah.
The world can burn. I'm leaving. Bye.
You know,
I'm
Seriously,
taking the
I
robot
would.
with me.
God has his coffee. All is right with the world.
Yeah, put Gendo in the bloody robot. He made it.
Well, let's go
Anyway.
on to
Sorry.
let's go talk about the main series that we want to chat about this season.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
And of course, Price of Smiles. We mentioned it at the start. Let's go into this. So we forgot to watch this after watching the first episode. We binged it in 2 days. This week, we sat down as a trio and watched the whole thing straight out.
Yeah.
Not
And-
quite a marathon, but daunting task
Pretty
all the same.
close.
Well, it's 6 hours, 5 hours.
Yeah.
Still, that was fantastic. I was really impressed.
It was good.
It was the change of perspectives that really grabbed me. It's like every second episode would focus on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm not
and
sure that's...
it showed,
Yeah.
but it showed the humanizing factors in war. Like whenever anyone thinks about war, there's always the bad guys.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys, no matter what side you're on.
Yeah, pick a Gundam series. It's like
Yep.
the ones in the other suits, they're evil. Just, shoot them.
I loved the designs.
And it handles the subject matter very well. I mean, it looks at the hard truth of war. Characters will die and you will not be expecting it. Every single time you think you've got an idea on where the plot is going, it subverts it and gives you something new to look at and look out for. I was so impressed. I was not expecting to get into it this much, especially because you see that all the previews and... My lord, the synopsis written for the first episode was appalling.
Yes.
She lives in her castle, surrounded by her happy friends. And it's like, that doesn't tell you anything about what this series is
Yeah, that sounds like
actually
it's
about.
about to be a futuristic slice of life.
Exactly.
And that's the interesting thing. It doesn't tell you anything, just like they weren't telling her anything.
Exactly.
And that was... They did such a good job.
You almost
with-
have the same point of view as her.
Yeah.
And then when you go to the opposing side and you're looking at the eyes through a woman who's working for the military on the other side, who's from an orphan background. So on one side, you got Princess Yuki, who has been brought up with all the privileges and everything you'd expect. And on the other side,
Stella shining.
Stella, that's right.
Yeah.
Stella! She's grown up as an orphan and literally then was given to a family who wanted to abandon her and then lived on the street and then joined the military because she had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
They're very different stories, and yet they both have a very similar view of the world on what they want the world to be, which...
They seem to be quite responsible.
But, I mean, this wasn't a series I was expecting to get so invested into. And I had to kind of disattach myself because once that first unexpected death happened, I kind of got the feeling more were going to follow. And I was like, okay. Domestic Girlfriend's already wrecked me. I can't handle this right now.
I don't feel like it needed to be sad where it was sad. I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
I think you guys know exactly what point I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was...
It didn't have to be.
In
way.
all seriousness, it's a fantastic series. If you're looking for something which is a good 12 episodes with a strong story narrative, with well-developed characters, with interesting dialogue and not the same generic thing we see in a lot of the quickly spun out mecha anime, this is worth a watch.
And not terribly predictable either. The entire
No.
end game, like, you don't even
No.
have a clue about that until it's upon you.
You think,
Yeah.
this city will fall and that city will rise. And no, you are way off the track and you have no idea. And the next couple of twists just blows you away. So I'm going to give it 7 giant mechs out of 10.
That's a good score.
What about you guys?
I'd only give it about maybe 5.5, to be honest. I'm really glad you guys loved it so much. I did like it too. But...
Watch out, polarizing opinion coming.
It's
Oh,
it's
no.
not very. So I liked the political side of it. I didn't find that Yuki was very intriguing as a main character. Though I
No.
like she wasn't very complex, which isn't a bad thing.
They showed that she had a tactical edge, but I feel like that was sort of a forced development.
Yeah, there was that, and I mean, I liked the storyline. That bit did not have to be sad. I liked the fact that they did a really good job of closeting us from that first episode and then revealing at the end. But what I do think is that it would have been really interesting, maybe even a bit more intriguing, to have started the other way around, to have started with Stella and then gone to Yuki. then back to Stella, then back to Yuki.
But once again, that would shift the narrative structure, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yeah.
It would.
I mean,
yeah.
throughout the whole series, you feel inclined to side with Yuki because she's the first character introduced.
And because she's so innocent, she's naive.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and as you said, she isn't well developed, and that's because they've seen her as a vessel. And I think the political turmoil and the overall events are what seem to be the part they focused on as opposed to the character development.
Yeah. I mean, not saying I think it's bad.
So 5.5 sunflowers. Got it.
Yeah, 5.5.
I'll give it a solid 6.5, 7 goldfish in balls.
Oh, yeah. Well, the next one is Shield Hero, and
Yes.
I love Shield Hero. I've been reading the manga, and we have some fantastic music. We have the theme song from it, which is called Rise by Mad Kid, and this is a cover by Romy. He's an incredibly talented musician, singer, and composer on YouTube. We'll be putting his link on the Facebook page.
光見つけた空白の時間迷い込んだ地図りの世界信じられる答え探し求めてたださまよって Yeah, 指の隙間逃げろ like よそ見してる暇もない溶けた傷跡さえ風にせいちゃ吹きに咲いてる誰も彼もゼロ life 守るだけじゃ can't survive I don't wanna lie to myself Keep on the fight, get right I'll never lose and cry Keep running day and night Time to write no matter what anyone say I find my way Yeah, never go away Never go away Now nobody can stop me, no way 忘れてしまうことのないようになくしたものを全て取り戻すため Rise and live this world 繰り返す旅の果て脳裏に残った失敗なんて全部取り消せ今 turn over Rise and live this world Yeah
I love this intro song so much.
He's excellent.
Yeah, Romy is utterly phenomenal.
So talented.
Had a good chat with him on his Facebook account, and
Such a nice bloke.
he does all of this. So he composes the music, he plays it, he sings, he mixes. This guy, wow,
That's amazing. I wonder how much he's going to be worth in 10 years.
a lot,
Or 2
a
years.
lot, a lot.
Spread the word, people.
You know, with Shield Hero, I've lately been trying to remember what Naofumi was like before he was so incredibly jaded. Like, I have this lovely daydream that he'll reconnect to his nice self and be able to go back home, and Raphtalia will go with him. But then I'm not sure about what will happen to her ears and her tail. Maybe she'll be an idol sensation or something. But then, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
can
mean,
hardly remember him from when because
And
he
that-
was
that's-
happy once, wasn't he?
I wouldn't
He
say
might have been.
he wasn't necessarily happy, but he was comfortable at the start because he had, the free income and all that, and then he just suddenly appears in this world. But what I've loved about this adaptation more than anything else is that they've done additional scenes that were not in the manga that actually made the story stronger. They weren't filler; they were useful, and that is so rare.
Yeah, I haven't seen any film.
I still enjoy what an original take on the isekai genre it is. We've seen Sword Art Online. Kirito has everything. He wins everything.
He's OP.
Everything is awesome.
I love him, but he's OP.
Yeah, he's a paragon of goodness and justice, and all the ladies love him.
And a god motto.
Totally. In this, life isn't fair.
No.
People are not always going to have your best interests at heart.
They aren't very nice.
And thus, he's adapting to this world and making it his own, basically.
I mean, it's a great adaptation, and there's another 12 episodes to go. We're only at the halfway point because this is a
So excited.
two-core anime, so I'm very
Smashing.
excited. And I suspect it might hit around the chapter 50 mark of the manga by the time it's done, which is kind of the end of this whole saga to do with the heroes and the way the king is behaving.
Oh.
It doesn't end the waves or anything like that. That's still ongoing, and that's still happening in the manga up to date. But it answers a lot of questions as to why he's being treated the way he's being treated.
Oh, good. I've been waiting for that.
Well, I'm going to give it 8 kicks to the Spear Heroes crotch out of 10.
I'll give it 8.5 rage shields out of 10.
I'm rather enjoying the series. I love the world. I love the characters. I'm giving it 9 angry chocobos out of 10.
Love them angry chocobos.
So
Now,
cute.
let's go on to a series which has broken my heart.
短く無情されど美しくのてってにふさわしくないこんなんじゃきっと物足らないくらい語っとけばうまくいくものがないこともう自己現実飽きたデジャブ何がそんな不満なら散々わがまま語っといてこれ以上仮何がいるそんなところも割と嫌いじゃないもう結局ダメにするぜ中途半端なけばいいもういい愛してどうしていただって愛してどうして今のだって遊びだけなら簡単に真剣交渉無茶苦で思いもしない重いことは何度使い古すのかどうせ期待したら無敵ですでもいいよだらけのブレスポッケンガート文字ややること言葉にして空気を委ねてないでよ
Oh, I love that song so
I
much.
think it's set to be one of this year's most prevalent earworms.
Yes, it is. That was Kawaii wo Amaku, which was originally performed by Minami. She's very young. That was a cover by Kimi. She's from the Netherlands.
Oh,
And
Wow.
she is awesome as well.
wow,
well
anime
done.
really is a worldwide thing, isn't it?
What a voice. Like, it's quite funny. She was mentioning on her Twitter that someone actually reported her song because they thought she'd stole the original.
Realise.
That is a compliment.
That's a compliment and a half.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now-
a low blow kind of a compliment, but you know.
Yeah. I need to say that while I love the manga, this has started strong and it has dropped too many important plot points for me to give it a good score.
Oh,
Really?
that's a shame.
There are so many things that they have left out which are critical to explain how certain characters behave, and they
Well-
could have done much better with the adaptation.
Would you then suggest that if one was to have the manga and the anime both available, you should choose one and stick to one before going to the other? Or
I
not try
don't
and-
think this will get a second season.
Really?
I really don't.
Whoa.
It has not performed well enough in Japan for it to do
Okay.
so at this stage.
Well, I wouldn't be too heartbroken if it didn't, because I got my kicks out of them being found out.
Mhm.
Because, you know, like, I just really haven't been loving their relationship.
No.
And he's just a bit pushy, and she's a loose cannon that needs therapy, though the same could probably be said of him too. And seeing Rui's advances on him and the way he handled them just made me really angry with him. So yeah,
It has felt like a rush to the finish in recent episodes.
Mm.
It's like, we just need to get to the end and get it done with.
yeah.
And after you read the manga, the anime doesn't feel strong. And I mean, admittedly,
Mm.
I shot myself in the foot for doing that. But the manga is phenomenally well paced and well written.
Yeah.
And I've got to agree with you. The main character does not deserve either of the girls.
No, he
Yeah,
doesn't.
I keep watching it and the same words are on my lips in every episode. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah. I mean, I understand there's the whole taboo element in there. I should also mention that Domestic Girlfriend is written by a lady, I can't remember her name offhand, but she's fantastic. Now, her prior series give you a lot of ideas as to where she's planning to take this.
Oh, really?
She's got one called Happy Ending, which is, once again, a love triangle. It's a very good read, especially if you've been reading the manga and are really depressed. Go read that. You'll be happy with the end. But it's the same sort of principle where there are two people. There's the main character who's in love with a girl, and the other girl then goes, who's pretty much the same sort of type of character as Rui, helps him to try and build his confidence up to meet her. And
sounds a nice story.
he then falls in love with both of them and has to decide. And it's really well written, and the characters are well developed, and it's the same thing for the manga. Unfortunately, the series for Domestic Girlfriend, after those first solid 6 episodes feels like it just kind of took a lull and rushed to the end. The introduction of Alex and several other characters, conflicts that were meant to happen, conflicts that his advisor in the literary club was meant to go through, are just skipped over and glossed over, and they were very important in character development and showing each individual character's values and beliefs.
Yeah.
It's such a shame.
It is, and it just seems like they went, all right, we've only got 12 episodes to do this, we'll rush to the end, we'll make sure we do the whole story arc with Hina, and then, you know, we can just end it there. And I don't think that's the right way to approach it.
I mean, mangas are more your domain, but I feel like I really need to read this.
It's really good, but it will wreck you because it is very emotionally charged and it is well developed. And there's a reason why it's got such a following. I mean, let's be honest, it's no Sword Art Online, it's no Shield Hero, it's no Naruto or One Piece where there's a massive following behind it. But the people who do read it are very dedicated to it because they really acknowledge how well the writer's done for it.
Your review of this anime kind of reinforces why I say to everyone, read Akira before you watch it. Don't watch it first because, well, I mean, if you want to watch it first, that's fine, but I feel like you're going to be missing out on a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give it 6 buckets of tears out of 10 because that's been me the past few weeks.
Okay, I think, look, I'm still enjoying the anime because I haven't been ruined by the manga. So I am going to give it about 7 Sakura cherry blossoms out of 10.
Kenny?
I give it 5 creepy teachers out of 10.
It's not your cup of tea, is it?
It's not exactly. There's a lot of awkwardness to it, and I don't know, not my thing.
Fair enough. The next show we're talking about is your thing, though.
All your thing.
This is, I reckon, I'm willing to bet that this is your show of the season.
It's in my top 10 list of animes of all time.
Which is a big deal.
We've got another song by Romy. This is his cover of Love Dramatic, which was performed by Suzuki Masayuki, and it is utter perfection.
Oh, love me, mister. Oh, mister. 夢じゃないなら聞かせてね、ミスター。もうミスター。じらされるほど切ない想いだけがやばれ出す。その視線に負けそうになる二人だけの危ないゲーム。Love is war, love is war, love is war.踊らせてドラマチックはこれから意地悪な恋の予感しびれる折れた指の先が運命を待ちわびているあなたに言わせたい心の壁を破る愛の告白 Oh love me mister Oh mister 夢じゃないなら聞かせてね Mister もう Mister じらされるほど切ない想いだけがやばれ出すその視線に負けそうになる二人だけの危ないゲーム Love is war, love is war, love is war
God, I love that song so much.
It's another earworm of the year.
Oh, absolutely. And I just love everything about how this song works in the anime. The opening is like a Bond film. It's phenomenal.
It is. The first thing I said when I saw that is like, is Ian Fleming involved in this? Like,
it's
wow.
like back from when they were really artistic and just so original.
Pre-GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And that is certainly the sort of thing they were going for. I'm sure of it.
Now, I have to say, this anime is utter perfection for a rom-com.
It's so good.
I mean, that's I know, a heavy thing to say, but I have been consistently, every week, laughing my head off. And it has made us laugh a lot.
That's the thing. It is working off the singular basis that these two people are trying to get the other to express their love. They are trying to manipulate. It is the same joke But the way they approach it from all these different and original and unexpected angles, you can't help but be absorbed, wondering, okay, how's it going to happen this time?
And how good is the narrator?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've heard some people online say the narrator takes away from it, but I think they're watching the dub, and I suspect the dub might not be that good for the narrator.
I think the narrator adds to it.
I think he does too.
He's so funny.
It's great because he's explaining what's going on, and it doesn't need the characters to play the old exposition dance because, it's well done.
Exactly. And just the idea of like this mature old voice telling you about these young teenage things.
Yeah,
and what they
kind
do.
of reminds me of that SBS voiceover guy that was hanging around like maybe 15 years ago, and he always sounded like he was saying something naughty when he was just talking about what's coming up next, and it's a Food Channel special.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were very interested to know what was going on in that special.
But I mean, I've loved everything about this. The art style is beautiful. It takes a moment to get used to at the start because the way the main male character's eyes are drawn and his look is a bit out of left field from what you'd expect from high school love romance anime.
Of course.
But other than that,
because these are not your typical protagonists, are they?
no, he's insane.
Yeah.
She's insane.
And
They are insane.
Yeah.
And even though they're put in the love protagonist role and they're at this super duper elite school, they're fallible. They are just so strange.
And they're polar opposites. She's from a super rich background. He's from a very poor background.
She's very, very sheltered. He's just very, very awkward.
Smart.
And there are those great episodes where she's learning about the world by accident. And it's just
Chica has
hilarious
to explain it to her.
on multiple occasions. And on that
all
note,
people.
Chica, she is glorious. She is one of the best foils to them that I have ever seen. When there's two people at loggerheads, she just walks in and ruins what they are planning to do because
game.
they're just like, you're being silly.
Hasn't she been called upon to break up a fight between them as well?
Yes.
Like, yeah, the treasurer drags her in.
Yep. And wasn't it to do with like food?
Yeah,
It was
It
cake.
was.
Yes.
No,
Cake.
you will eat this slice of cake. No, you will eat this
you
slice
will.
of cake. I will
Yeah.
feed you. No, you will feed me.
Oh my god.
What?
And Chica is just, this game between them is a game of chess. It's a game of chess with high stakes, and then she just throws a boppet on the table.
Yeah, pretty much. But the manga is still going very strong. Apparently,
Yes.
there's been some serious development in the relationship between the characters in the last 10 chapters. So also going to hit that very hard when I get some time off.
I mean, we're on the second last episode as it is. We haven't seen the last episode yet, but
No, that comes out tonight?
yes, so by the time you guys hear this, we will have watched it.
But it's not out yet.
It's not out yet, but it will be out while you're hearing this. So to us now, it's not out, but it will be
But
out.
right now, to you listening, it's right out now. Go watch it now.
watch it.
Right
I
this
think I'm having
minute.
an aneurysm.
But I can't watch it now because it's not
No,
out
we
now.
can't watch it now.
But you can
But
watch it.
Probably by the time you're listening to this, we will be watching it.
But
now.
we're not now.
But not now.
But now we'll be watching it.
But now, right as you're hearing this, right
Watch
now,
it.
we are probably watching it.
Okay.
Was that clear?
I don't think it was. It was about as clear as mud.
Maybe we should repeat ourselves.
No.
Yeah, we can.
I have to give it 10 Chica dances out of 10 because every week I look forward to this. Like, I look forward to a lot this season, but this one, every time it came out, straight away I wanted to watch it, no matter what else was out.
9 deadly weapons out of 10 for me because I want to know a bit more about the characters.
You have to read the manga then.
Okay, well,
10 insane school counselors. It's, yes.
Yeah. Now, there is something we need to mention when we were talking about our episode 3 rule a few episodes back, that episode 3 is where groups try to do something strange. They did something strange. They changed the outro just for this one episode.
Oh, yes.
And we have a cover of it because this, I believe, is the ultimate earworm of this season.
yeah, and you should try and watch the video.
It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, now this has been covered by Singing Samin. She's a singer and voice actress from Florida. She's got some pretty awesome songs on her channel, definitely worth checking out. And with all of these artists, we will be linking you to their YouTube profile in the description, so have a look below. This is Chikato Chica Chica, and it was voiced by Fujiwara Chica, the character, i.e. the voice actress Koharu Konomi, and it's basically been dubbed the Chica Dance.
限り輝くのだチカッとチカッとチカチカシュキシュキシャキシャキチュキチュキドキドキ森へお帰り
9つ話がある
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
And time to get into part 3. These are the big ones. Now, I feel like Kaguya-sama should be in this group, and it is definitely one of the big ones of the season, but for me, this is where it's all been at. And we're going to start off with Sword Art Online Alicization. Now, Sword Art Online gets a lot of flack.
Love it, hate it. It's, you know, it's a big name in anime right now.
Alicization is hands down the best arc of the entire show so far.
It has actually been pretty good.
It's felt quite different to all the other series. Like, the characters are completely
There are
different.
actual stakes.
Oh,
At
absolutely.
risk. Like the first half of season 1, there was the your life at stake. The second season, as soon as life was at stake, allegedly.
It was a save the princess kind of
Yeah,
deal.
after that, it just kind of felt like there wasn't much else going on. I mean, sure, we did have the issue with the guys from Gun Gale trying to kill people in the real world.
That
but
was a fascinating mystery kind
it
of
was.
thing.
It was.
But it didn't feel as life and death as this did.
Yeah, I do not know how they're going to get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. Like, all of their pawns are gone. It's like the knights have gone as well. There's like one
Yeah.
rook and... Sorry, I'm using chess terminology. I'm not good at chess.
Throw a pop it up.
But I mean, there's 24 episodes, and this is part of a 2-part. So they claimed it was a 4-cour, which means 48 to 50 episodes.
What was
and
that?
this, in the light novels, is actually the whole story arc is longer than everything that came before it,
Wow.
which explains why they're putting so much into it. And
You feel like this was like the initial idea and all the other stuff was like created to sort of introduce it?
no, I don't think it was, because this was kind of one of the last major story arcs before then going on to, I think there's 2 minor arcs after this, and then that's it
'Cause
so far as what's written.
So much is going into this. It's
And so there's 24 episodes out, another 24 to go. We believe 2020, that next part is. It's unconfirmed, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere it was 2020.
Yeah.
So it would make sense having a year gap in between so they can create another 24 episodes. I've loved everything about it so far. The animation has been taken up a notch. A1's always pretty good, but it feels like, especially during sword fights, the actual movement has become a lot more fluid. The character actual design feels like it's been softened so that they're more realistic as opposed to hard edge. Less game character, more real person.
Yeah,
The
I've noticed that too.
only criticism I have is that they made that massive deal at the start about all of his friends from outside who we haven't seen in about 15 episodes.
No,
yeah.
we haven't seen
Has it
anything.
only been 15 episodes? It feels significantly longer.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. Like, I mean, well,
They've done a good job with the passage of time.
they have. And admittedly, time inside the game goes a lot faster than passage outside. So it might be that they've purposely done this because in this whole time, only 1 day has passed in the real world.
Such an intriguing notion. Because, yeah, there was a cutaway to Asuna and a couple of the other people outside very, very
Ship.
briefly.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, like they mentioned, oh, that's a warship, and then we haven't heard anything for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, what's going on? Can we cut out to there? Hello?
But once again, the intro has been done by one of my favourite performers, Lisa.
She's
And
awesome.
she did the very first series opener, Crossing Field. She's done intros for tons of other animes as well. And just as a general rule, she is an awesome rock musician.
Yeah, she's such a good performer.
She
Big
is.
name in
But-
anime.
We have a cover by Romy, and Romy's a guy. So this is,
Is
a
there
very...
anything this guy can't do?
No, there isn't.
大義名分にしびれ切らした苦渋の闇どこの渦の中始まりに孤独はつきものさ四面楚歌でも壁をぶち
That's a cracking
What
cover.
a voice he has.
Yeah. Well, wait till we get to Dororo because he's wow. We've got his cover of Dororo's intro, and that's whoa. But not just to mention how good that intro is, but the show itself, just as an overall quality, its polish has just jumped up a level. And I think that's because they've had the time, they've had the original film come out, which also had that polish level jump up as well.
Oh, it was a good movie.
Now, in line to what we were discussing earlier, there is one thing that for me makes Sword Art Online a little bit of an uncomfortable watch, and that's the fan service.
Yeah.
It is in there. It's not in there often, but when it's in there, it's uncomfortable.
It feels a bit forced.
It is.
I feel like it's there just for a particular fan base.
It's really voyeuristic, and it doesn't have to be. Like, we didn't have to see what they were doing with those two girls.
Yeah.
We don't have to see the Pontifex half naked all times. They, you know.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
I'm not sure.
Though, again, I don't mind it. The Pontifex, but the thing with the two girls, that was just not. That was too far.
A bit too far.
It dwelled on it a little too long.
Yeah, but I mean, if you remember the prior seasons as well, and as you said, this is consistent throughout all of Sword Art Online, there is that
voyeuristic.
I wouldn't even say that, the almost perverse level of look at how badly this person is being treated. And it's happened to Asuna a fair bit. It happened to the girl from Gun Gale.
Yeah.
It's happened now to two of the young girls in Alicization.
And that's why I'm going to give it 6 fan servicey Pontifexes out of 10.
I'm giving it 8 forgotten side characters out of 10.
Fair enough.
7 big shiny swords.
Now, there is also a very nice outro theme. And this is by, the original is called Forget Me Not by Ryo Na, and it's been covered by the Japanese group Anime Song Collab. Now, if you've not heard of them, these guys are phenomenal. Guys and girls, I should say, especially some of their vocalists. They should be professional vocalists. They are an internet group who all record the independent parts of the song and then pass it on to another person to record their part, and it all gets pieced together to make the anime intro songs from each opening.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Such a good cover.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you would not know that was a cover.
That was so well produced.
So well produced. Incredible. Now, if you do want to find these guys, they have a community page on YouTube and Nico Nico community page, which is actually a Japanese page. So unless you can read and speak Japanese, you might struggle with it. But wow.
Wonderful.
Just wow. On that note, that time I was reincarnated as a slime.
Oh yeah, I remember that time.
I was a
That
bit
was
squishy.
That was a weird Tuesday.
Squish that slime.
Animated by 8-Bit, Infinite Stratos, Encouragement of Climb they've previously done. You know that I was super excited about this series when it came out because I've been reading the manga.
Absolutely.
I didn't realise it was a light novel before that.
Oh.
Yeah, and which is why Season 2 has been announced for 2020.
Yes, I saw some of the cover art for it. It looks awesome.
It's such a good series. It's so accessible
Yeah.
for any age.
Yeah.
And Rimuru is pretty much God mod.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm really enjoying it. I don't feel like it's a cheat or anything. I feel like I just get to watch someone exercising what they do with power to make benefit, like, to make benefit great nation of what's that country called? Tempest. Yeah.
It's to make benefit great nation of Tempest. Got it. It's run for 25 episodes. The light novels are ongoing. There's 14 volumes out of that. The manga's ongoing as well. The second season is going to be great. And as you mentioned, this is all about how people use power, and this is the polar opposite of ultimate power corrupts ultimately, and I love that. I love the fact that Rimuru is able to go into this and think straight.
Yeah. He keeps a cool head, or rather, they keep a cool head.
Well, in the last episode, he did refer to himself as a he and a salaryman and a male. So we'll stick with him being a guy in a genderless body.
Yeah,
that'll work. Yeah, it's just it's been the power trip fantasy is present in the isekai because that's sort of thing. You're in this foreign world and you are now its hero. And the way he utilizes his power is to make something great of what wasn't great.
He's got such a good code of ethics.
Yeah, he makes a nation out of orcs and goblins and beastmen, and everyone's getting along. Everything's happy.
Yeah, and then he's like, humans come as well. It's great.
Yeah,
and the dwarfs can come too.
And when there's a giant monster, they kill the giant monster, chop it up, and have a big festival.
Yeah,
what a wonderful notion.
I know, it's great. I know I'm already going to rate this highly, and it's 9 Goblin Riders out of 10 for me. I cannot wait to see where this goes from here. So I'm very excited.
I'm giving it 8 horny wolves out of 10.
Okay.
I'm going to give it 9 how do you see out of those masks out of 10.
We will come back to Slime when it gets its next season out, hopefully next year. Hopefully it's early next year.
I am not a patient man.
But we need to talk about something that I cannot stop talking about, and it's given me utter joy this season because I cannot own a cat in my current house, and this has filled that gap. And that's My Roommate is a Cat.
Which actually has a far more adorable title than the English
it
translation,
does, which
right?
they use as the last 2 lines of the anime.
Yeah, what's that title, Carl?
My roommate is sometimes in my lap and sometimes on my head.
Oh.
Yeah, which is just so
Squish
cute.
that roommate.
Squish that cat. Squish that cat. But it's a beautiful story. I have loved every minute of it. I want a cat and a story.
Cats, plural.
But not only that, the intro theme is called Unknown World, and it's by a band called Schrodinger's Cat, featuring Katringo. This is another one that's been covered by Anime Song Collabo, and it's so catchy. And if anyone's had a look online for the name of this, trying to actually play this is incredibly challenging because it is very complicated on the piano. As you can probably tell, this is going to get a high score from me.
I think that I would want to hear that on a saxophone.
Oh.
Can you imagine that?
There have been some really good songs with sax in it this season, which will be our next, the next series we talk about. But what were your guys' takeaways from My Roommate is a Cat?
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's I feel like there's so much going on where just that the character was grieving this entire time and he didn't realize it. And his parents were kind of hanging around because he hadn't let go.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah. And Haru's arrival slowly helped them both recover and learn that, you know, life can be beautiful. It can be wonderful. It can be anything.
It's sort of a love story to
depressing.
people to say you don't have to be alone,
Yeah.
which I believe that's a very important message for people to have.
It's so profound.
And it's that character development that's so amazing, isn't it? It's the way they're both coming out of their shells, becoming more trusting, even protective of each other, especially in Haru the cat's sense.
And they haven't tried. It's just been so very natural and organic.
Now, if you haven't caught it, essentially the format of the show is the first 3 quarters is focusing on the main guy and his activities and so on. The second half is that episode from the cat's view. Last quarter, I should say, is from the cat's view. And they play with that throughout the whole series until the last episode, where the whole episode is from both of their views.
It's so interesting to see the cat's point of view.
I mean, we to this day, we will never know, I think, what our cat actually wants.
Yes.
But, and it's a big
Global
but,
domination.
that they did a really good job of explaining cat behavior, even though it's probably not accurate.
They did, didn't they?
And
It
I
actually
really
made
enjoyed
sense.
that. So I'm going to give it 10 bundles of utter joy out of 10.
I'm going to give mine 10 hairballs out of 10.
10 tins of the good stuff. It was great. It was a very, very relaxed and just, it was emotional in a lot of bits.
It was. Now, on the note of saxophone, as Coco mentioned a bit earlier, we do need to play a song called Touch Off by Uverworld. This is another cover by Romy, and it is good. Yes, that is Uverworld, the band who originally did it, and that was covered by Romy. That's Touch Off. That is the theme.
He can play saxophone.
I believe so. That is the theme for Promised Neverland, and wow.
We just finished that last night.
We did, which is actually the night before if you're listening to us on this. Anyway.
I kind of want to be him when I grow up.
When you grow up, I think we're older than him.
No.
So that, Promised Neverland, had such a strong story the whole way through.
Oh my
The
gosh.
first episode was so captivating. It gave you everything you needed to just stay invested.
Now, season 2 is on the way for next
is?
year.
I
Yes, I
cannot
couldn't fit that in the
wait.
news either because there's so much stuff.
Oh,
And I wanted to wait till now.
And you waited until now to tell us. Oh,
I'm not sure I can wait that long, and I might read the manga.
I might have to too because wow.
The character development, the use of young children as characters and showing how young children can potentially tackle a situation maturely was fantastically well done.
And it's not your typical situation, is it?
No.
No.
But it also shows that children are much more observant than many adults give them credit for.
Yeah, they are. You know what? I thought I wouldn't be able to watch this, to be honest, because of the dark subject matter.
Well,
But
I mean, when you say, oh, this is a anime which is about a child farm which are going to be served up to demons to eat
Yeah.
their brains.
I just didn't want to see so much of a focus on them being scared and, you know, how
Yeah.
we've seen in other animes, there's a lot of a focus on the fear and the... and it's not really necessary. But it doesn't really focus so much. I mean, they're scared, but then they're like, let's fix this.
Yeah.
Let's do something about
the can-do attitude.
it. Just like that guy that you shared with us just before.
The motivational Japanese speaker who's
Yeah.
standing in a lake.
Who's doing like...
Fascinating random
farming
meme I
crabs.
located.
Yes.
Yeah.
We might have to post that on the Facebook page
Yeah, I
just for
think we
your
do.
Monday morning get-up.
Absolutely.
You
But
can do it.
Promised Neverland, from beginning to end, has been a fantastic ride. It has been strong narrative, the ideas behind it, even though they're flawed, the twists, the things that were happening behind that you didn't see coming. Every episode had some aspect which built up to this fantastic crescendo at the end.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to see where they go with this.
And that's the thing. It all takes place in this one location, this one house in the middle of the woods. You see the walls later. And the fact that the second season is outside of that raises
Yeah.
only questions, only possibilities.
What is this world actually like outside
Yeah.
the walls?
What
has
is
happened
there?
to the world?
Like, are humans the norm anymore? Getting my Maze Runner vibes.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
But yeah, so I can't wait to see where that goes. And I'm going to go 9 child sacrifices out of 10.
8 creepy mums out of 10 for me. It was a 7, but that last episode just
Yeah.
put it up a bit.
I'm going to say 9 house fires out of 10.
Fair enough. And with that, we have one last anime to talk about. And I might have to say that this is another song by Romy. And I do have to warn you that party is over.
Party is over それでも踊りたかった眠れないくらい情熱の日はいつしかいつの日にか鼻から削れている炎はいつか消えるで何もいらないはずだったなのにまだ I'm so serious Baby それよりそんなに甘くないよでもきっとそんなに悪くないよ Ah, give me fire ラレラベイで燃やしちゃうぜ yeah
What a phenomenal cover.
That
What a
was
vocal
absolute-
range.
Amazing. Does this guy do concerts?
I'd go.
Yeah, I'd pay. I'd pay to see him.
Just so good. I love every moment of his music. That's why I actually went and bought it all for this. I'm sure he'll be rolling around in the I don't know, $1.50 it probably cost. But Dororo has just been a masterclass in Tezuka style storytelling.
Yep.
And it's, it makes sense. It was done by his studio. It's been well developed. It's been well thought out, and it is based on a fantastic manga. So I find it very, very easy to get into it. And announced last week, 12 more episodes coming.
Yeah, we thought it was just going to be a 12-parter, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, thank god. Oh
Someone's
my
happy.
gosh. This is really the standout anime of the season for me. Just, there's such a strong story from the start.
Yeah.
And taking into account the historical background as well. Oh my gosh.
It did a really, really good job.
It did.
It has done a
And,
really good
I
job.
mean, there's some really dark subject matter, but it hasn't.
It
like,
handles
hasn't-
it in a way that it treats the audience as mature enough to deal with it.
Yeah, it hasn't gone, oh, look, here's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
It's enough to sort of say, well, this is what's happening. You guys know the rest.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And it's got
yeah.
the strong characters to fit into the environment. It's like, this is a hopeless kind of a world.
Yeah.
And these two people face it head on. It's very
It was
inspiring.
fantastic. And I mean, we've got 12 more episodes. It's very well written, and Hyakimaru is just awesome.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
so awesome. I named one of my Pokemon after it.
Did you? Which one?
Gallard, the one which has swords for arms.
I was going to say, is that going to be your Cypher name? Or so?
Oh, I have to go pick up one of my DS now. Dororo's pretty cool too. Serves as a great side character to introduce you to their narrative structure, to tell you what Hyakimaru can't.
His very human foil, basically.
I wonder if Dororo is actually a girl.
We'll leave that until the end of the series to discuss.
Oh.
Because there is some discussion around that, and I'm not going to tell you what they have planned for this season because I found out. But as Kenny mentioned with the live action adaptation, they had Dororo played by a girl.
Yeah,
in
and
the
that made me
original.
wonder. I thought, okay, is that a change or is that a mystery yet to be revealed?
In the
I
manga.
can't tell.
So we will cover that obviously
go.
when we do get to it. But I think we need to address a few points which you've written down about Dororo.
Yeah. So I come from a background in studying classics. So the thing that I loved about it is that it's a tragic story. It's classic tragedy. Dororo lost his parents. Hyakimaru is the victim of his father's lust for power. His father is drunk on his own power and flying way too close to the sun. His mother is tormented by her guilt.
I'm getting a lot of Greek metaphors here.
Yeah. And his brother has to choose between having a brother who, like, his loyalty to his family is so strong, but he has a responsibility to his people, and his father has made him make that choice. And it's just like, this is it's got some similarities to many Greek tragedies.
Yeah.
Very stylistic.
Yeah, and it reminds me a little bit of the story of Oedipus, because Oedipus is the victim of fate.
Yeah.
He had the misfortune of being born into a family that carried
Some serious issues.
some serious issues.
Which is why we now have
mildly.
the Oedipus complex as an actual phrase used.
Yeah, but like, this is exactly the same for Hyakimaru. He didn't ask for any of it, but it's his fate. So
Well, I'm going to give it 9 dead demons out of 10.
Ooh.
I'm giving it 12 Tezcas out of 10. But
12!
honestly, this is the
You know how an
standout.
out of 10 system works, right?
I do. We'll say
You don't get to save the points you didn't spend earlier.
Yes, but this is we're going to do suspension of belief, and this
Suspension
is
of
the
points.
way it is.
Suspension of
all
points,
all I
yes.
want to say is that it's my favourite.
Fair enough. Kenny?
Definitely 9 severed limbs out of 10.
Oh, yes. We do have to give ourselves your personal favourite of the season. I think we know exactly what Coco's favourite is. It starts with D and ends in Dororo.
Yes, it do. It's such
Wait.
a well-rounded story.
Wait, starts in D, ends in... What is it?
Desolado Oro.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
Very,
was a
very,
weird
very
one.
complicated name.
Yes.
I'm going to have to say my roommate is a cat. Very obvious because of how obsessed I have been with it, and I just want a cat.
it's so damn
It
heartwarming.
pulls at the heartstrings, doesn't it?
Because I'm a big, soft, mushy pile of mess. I blame my affliction for romance manga for that. And
Say
Kenny?
it loud and say it proud.
Yes. Kenny?
It's such a tough call to make, isn't it? This has been a great season.
Some people actually don't think so.
No?
No. And I think it might just be that we aren't as jaded as them.
I say quality over quantity, honestly. We've had great contenders. We've talked about only a few of the good ones today. I gotta say, it's Kaguya-sama Love is War, though.
That's a fair call.
It's entranced me from beginning to end.
And on the note of entrancing, that episode 3, we have another version of the cover because it's just so good, and it went viral, and it deserves it.
Ladies and gentlemen out there, we will get this stuck in your head one way or another.
This one's been covered by Tomoyo. She is a singer, artist, and a Japanese English translator for Funimation. Pretty cool, huh?
All right.
And I tell you what, both this version and Samina Sings are both cracking versions of it.
Let's give it to spin.
Yoi, yoi, don't you? 数値因学園数値の事実みんな憧れの生徒会ポクポクポクポクポクポクポ会長と角屋さん石上くんと手記の地下ゴールデンメンバーと思いませんか初期の地下ラー乱れた国で生きる私たち誰もが本音隠してるけどどんな問題もラブ探偵地下が解決するわ IQ3 でも任せなさい好き好き好き好き好き設定うかうかしてたらすぐ卒業チュキチキトキトキフォーチュンテラーいつだって誰だって恋したらヒーロイン力の限り輝くのだよチカとチカとチカチカ好き好き好き好きチュキチキトキトキチュキチキチキチキチキチキトキトキ森おかえり
Well, another day, another episode, and
Full of music.
Yes, I'd say it's our musical episode. I'm surprised no one's broken into song yet, actually.
It hasn't
Honestly.
happened yet, but soon it will.
Oh, no.
Break into song.
All the day.
We're not very good at this.
No, clearly. We have another long episode next. It is the preparation for the spring anime season. And it is a doozy. There is a lot of interesting stuff coming out, and there's going to be, once again, a lot to talk about, as with any new season.
Oh, can't wait.
I wish half the stuff that's coming out in July was coming out now, because I can't wait that long. But in the meantime, please go check out some of these anime, and definitely check out the artists that we've mentioned today.
Yeah.
They are phenomenal. They're not very well known for some reason, and I think that is a crime.
We should change that.
Yeah,
the,
we should.
The videos are
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
for everything that we've posted. Well, in my opinion, they are.
And obviously, please, if you do enjoy the music of these artists, donate to them on their Patreon or buy the track through iTunes or Google Play or whatever option they give for you.
It all
because
helps.
it all helps them get their stuff together, and hopefully we'll be able to do the same and give them more money in the future.
Absolutely. We want to support talent where possible.
Absolutely. But we'll be back next week, same time, same wacky channel. Well, I should say next fortnight, actually, because clearly I'm getting ahead of myself. Haha, April Fools. Either way, enjoy yourselves, have a good weekend, and we'll chat to you in a fortnight.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye,